Is Songs of Syx still worth it even after 50 hours? Let's talk about it. If you're considering buying Songs of Syx, it's because you're interested in city builders, you're interested in really advanced simulations or huge populations, and it just looks different and maybe interesting. You've probably heard a lot of people talk about Songs of Syx because it's probably one of the most popular new-ish city builders. It's very unique, I think, but it's similar-ish to a couple of different games. Manor Lords, I think, for the city building and military combat style, I think in general, not aesthetically, but I think its aesthetics are closer to maybe something like Dwarf Fortress or RimWorld, for example. Those are probably the most likely alternatives or places you might start. So if you're interested in those games, you'll probably find some really cool things here. But what makes this game unique, I truly believe, is just the full level of complexity within simple systems. Let me show you what I mean. Just so you know, I have actually been playing for about 50 hours. One of my favorite games, I think, this year that I've played. It's still early access, and I think it actually came out in like 2020, but when you first open the game, you're gonna get this little launcher, so you can adjust your settings here if you'd like. Either way, let's get into the game. What I like about this game is, of course, you can do the normal campaigns. It's got 2 tutorials that build off of each other, and there'll be more campaigns later on. There'll probably be different challenges or whatever. You can also have a quick battle, so if you want to look at the actual military characteristics and see what that actually looks like, you absolutely can. You can make huge armies just to see what actually looks like. So let's go ahead and play. So when you first load into the game, after you've kind of decided a general starting region for where you play, you get to put down your throne room, and you're going to start out with 10 of your population. The beginning of the game is really interesting because it allows you to really decide where on this tile map are we going to be, where are we going to start. So in this particular tile map, we have some trees, we've got a nice clean river that goes through it, we got a decent amount of resources for different things, but we don't have any mountains. So that tells me the kind of civilization we're going to start here. We're likely not going to have a really clean mining area, but we do have some mining resources. So for example, decent amount of stone over here. We also have some Scythalon ore deposits. We've also got clay. We have a bunch of clay over here, some fiber. It looks like we also have some gems as well. So lots of really great options for where we actually put down our settlement. But where it makes sense is really going to dictate on what you can do early on. What I like about the game is there's so much variability about what you decide to choose and where that will lead you. So this decision will build into other decisions leading on as you build out your party. And then once you start, let's go ahead and set up a person here. This is going to be our throne. This is our 10 population of humans, and these are our starting resources. So the game loop, I think, is pretty satisfying because we start from this and we make something kind of like this. This is a totally different town, but it's got over 800, almost 900 population. Probably easily be able to do 1,000 at some point. But this was built all off of a couple of farms and some industry. The satisfaction, I think, that you get from building a town from just that one settlement into something like gigantic is amazing. It's probably one of the most satisfying expansions that I've ever experienced in any other game. For example, if you were to play like RimWorld or Dwarf Fortress and you're up to this population, you start to kind of see breakdowns, in my experience, from like the logistics and the simulation. This game has been programmed in such a way where it's just fully optimized. Maybe not fully, but pretty dang well, and you can simulate at very fast speeds. So I think because of that reason, it feels just organic and alive, and you can see what people are doing, and you can look at fine details. This is Adamaeus Sullivan. He's bringing resources to a stockpile, so a bunch of the rations, he's bringing those to storage. And we can just watch him. We don't even have to, we could turn off the UI and just watch him play, which I just think is super cool. So the game loop of having your starting core of settlers and then just continuing to expand, whether through immigration or through natural births from your citizens, because they'll have children too. I think that core gameplay loop is just super satisfying and interesting. What makes it unique, I think, is just the logistic chains. You can follow them pretty clearly, actually. So for example, we have our grain farms here, which make our grain. We know specifically that this farmer, Mila, is tending to the grain. And once we're ready to harvest in about 6 days, they will take this grain into this warehouse that I've stored specifically for the grain. And then we'll have the bakers who will take grain specifically from this warehouse into the bakery. They'll take some wood or some coal. That's kind of how I have it set up, from this coal mine here, also from here. And they'll turn that into bread. And then they can either store the bread here, or the ration maker will take the bread directly from here and create rations from it. So our logistics chain here is very clear. Here to here. And our output is bread. and ration. That's one example of the logistics trains that you can have. There's also this other super unoptimized one, which is we have a stone deposit all the way up here. You got a bunch of miners who are just, oh my gosh, this thing is degraded so much. It's pretty trash. This is OV. So super unoptimized because you have all of these workers here and no janitor to clean it up, and it's really far away, but theoretically they're supposed to take the stone and then bring it back all the way down. What does this guy do? Oh, it's a child. He's sleeping. Okay. They'd bring down that stone down into these haulers who would bring it and then store it into this big warehouse that I have set up for kind of my central location. You have your food stalls, which are pulling food from this area in the big storehouse and providing it to the citizens. But you can see it's not all perfect. Likely this area up here, yes, these people are not satisfied at all with their food stall. It's completely degraded. It's useless, essentially. So this satellite settlement we have here is completely broken down. So that's on me, I'm not gonna lie. But you can see just the complexity that your small choices really ripple out from and into and create just really complex and interesting areas and ways to play this game. You can optimize things. You can see where the breakdowns are. You can identify like the paths. So where are people actually walking? What are people actually using? Is this the area that I should upgrade my pathing to make it quicker, for example, right? Where's the noise? Where's the maintenance need? Okay, I need a lot of maintenance here. I need tools. The maintenance up here. The road needs maintenance. This whole area needs wood, and it needs stone, and it needs to actually have a janitor look at it. You want to look at lighting. We have lighting over here, but it's a super dark, long walk to and from the stone area. And then down here, we got a little bit more lighting. What about guard posts? Well, we only got a couple of guard posts, but nobody's manning them, so it's actually not even effective. And nobody's at our guard posts. Wait, why is no one ever at these? I have enough people. I always get confused about the guard posts. Anyway, so this is a super unoptimized version of a city, but we can still support up to like 880 people, almost 900 people. I love that kind of gameplay. The UI is pretty intuitive. There's also a lot of information you can get from this. So you want to learn about what your citizens are doing. You can click on them. You can look at each individual species. If you have multiple species, I don't. Tends to be easier because not every species likes all of them. Lots of racism in this game. But you can see what are ways that I can make my population more loyal or more happy so that way they stay and continue to produce effectively. Well, I can increase access to certain things. I can add more foods that they like. I can give them more clothes. I can give them housing, all sorts of things. More furniture, maybe. What about services? They want other services. Maybe I can make more hearts, maybe more markets. Skinny dipping is kind of interesting. Maybe they want more benches or more lavatories, all that kind of stuff. A fight pit. All of these bars, they seem pretty intuitive. I could completely remove permissions for some things if that felt like it was important. There's different decorations that they like. They really like torches and nature and sculptures, so I can use this and increase my happiness. And if people are happier, if they're more loyal, then it becomes easier to continue to grow and make it even bigger populations. For storage and how well you're doing for capacity-wise, you can see the UI pretty clearly labeled here. A nice simple system with a green bar that shows you what's your full capacity, a light green showing you how much you're actually using of that capacity, and when you're full, it's like a pink red. Tells you, hey, we can't really fit anymore. If it's completely grayed out, we literally don't have any capacity for those things. So I think this is pretty intuitive to use as well. You have your population, so if you wanted to add in more of a particular population and species, you could do that. So I have 10 Dondorians who might want to come and check it out. I've got a bunch of aspiring immigrants here. I can set my capacity for children. This can easily become just a spreadsheet simulator, but I think it's got more life than that. There's just so much more that feels like it's adding to the game that feels like it should really bog it down, but it doesn't. It runs super smooth, and it's not like I have a beefy computer either. So I like the UI. You have the entire building system down here, so you can look at the particular buildings that you want. If you want a stockade, more guard posts, military, daycare was important, logistics for more warehouses and haulers, water pumps, all that kind of stuff. You can do it there. You also can create blueprints for your warehouses. So I started doing that. I started looking at different designs for my warehouse. This is my favorite one. Let me go to the planning section. For farms, you can do really cool things. You can obviously make your fruit farms. And I know for sure this one will be worth 3 workers, or I can make a gigantic starship. You have all of those available to you. And when I'm in planning mode, I can set it down and no one will actually work on it until I decide to activate that job. Let's go ahead and cancel this. I did the same thing with roads, so you can really plan out your city before you actually commit to things as well. So I like the building systems. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's somewhat intuitive, but it actually takes you a little bit to really fine tune what makes sense. I think it's really easy to make gigantic buildings but then when you actually make them, you realize it takes a really long time to actually get the resources and supplies to do it if you don't have enough workers. And it also might just not even be efficient. Like, it could be that you made this gigantic warehouse, but the things that you're storing are way over here. And so it actually would have made sense if you made the warehouse here, right? Specifically for that. Or maybe it makes sense for smaller warehouses for your one production. This specific warehouse is for wood and charcoal and furniture. I have my woodcutters here. They can take it here, right? They can take it here as well. The herbs go to one specific warehouse, so that way they can be used in the secondary production chain for the bakery and then the ration maker, or for a charcoal kiln, right? I have the wood. Can I get it to the charcoal kiln to then put into a storage that makes sense for the secondary uses for it, right? It takes a little bit of practice, and I actually watch a lot of other people's YouTube videos to see kind of what they're doing and what makes sense for them, and then kind of implement it that way. I think that the room designer has been a pretty big unlock for me. I didn't use it at all for this playthrough, and I can just see so many inefficiencies. Like, for example, I have this housing that's weird. The warehouse is gigantic and pretty helpful, I'll say, but it might not even be the most efficient use of this space. And it's also boring and blocky, but you can make super advanced shapes with your buildings also, which I love to see. So the training ground here is very unique and different compared to the other buildings, but you can make an entire system with the weird shaped buildings. You can have a whole fill system actually integrate the empty spaces in between here and make your city feel a little bit more alive. So I have this whole dead space here for, maybe I want to make a little fruit orchard or something. So I'll adjust here and I'll put in the fill tool and I'll just upgrade this as much as possible, and then it'll fill that in. And now I just have this really weird shape for my for my tool, like it just feels like intuitive and really fun to design things here. And this is just one pattern. You can make really complex. All this is to say is that there's a lot of complexity just with these little pillars that they've added into this game, that I think it makes a lot of replayability, a lot of optimization if you would like, or you can just make it look nice and fun and interesting, and then you get to just watch people live their lives. I think that's really cool too. This is only part of the game. That doesn't even include all the trade that you can do. Again, talking about spreadsheet simulators, like, this is all the trade that we're doing. We're selling our stone and clay. We're bringing in fiber to make things. It'll tell you the price variations. So we're dumping the market here with clay. So we're not really pulling in a whole lot of money because we're trading all of it. We used to get a way better price for it, but if we wanted to buy it, that's not working yet. If we wanted to look at other prices for things, we could do that too. We could just look at the prices here at the rate times the price, all that kind of stuff for different species. So, okay, we have all of this pottery maybe. Let's say for the stone, currently it's 874 for Dondorians. It's 950 though for the Garthemes, 760 for humans. And so if we really wanted to make the most money out of this, we should probably be selling our stone to either the Dondorians or the Garthemes. So you can build trade off of that. You can make one-off trades with diplomacy. I haven't even shown you this yet. There's an entire empire system that you can work on, which is just like truly, truly fantastic. You can start looking. There's a gigantic starless empire here. Over to the right, we have the Roslana Empire as well. And so we're right in the middle, completely cut off. We only have one neighbor. At some point we're going to be taken over, so we should probably start thinking about our military ability. It's a little late. This playthrough is kind of OV, but I just think it's kind of fun and interesting. Military is pretty fun. You can build out your military, you can train them up, you can give them specific supplies if that makes sense, and then it tells you how long it takes to basically employ them. So you can build out a really cool system for logistics to make your weapons, or you can buy them, and then you can train them here, you can house them close by, you can do whatever you need, you can build up your rations so you can go on a conquest, your clothes to do the same thing. There are certain logistics that need to be adopted and created in order to fulfill bigger and bigger ambitious things, like building an empire, like taking over different towns and cities, and that'll help you get into the later game kind of thing. The actual battles are pretty cool. Like I said, you can kind of test out your battles in the battle simulator in the main menu if you'd like to see what that actually looks like. I'll go here. Oh, let's not save. No point in saving. We kind of ruined everything. But you can do like a quick battle. So let's say that you wanted to try out a whole bunch of Garthemes, right? You got your catapults, you got a whole bunch of people, and let's say that your enemy, let's say you want to fight a whole bunch of Talapies, let's go for it. So now you have all these units, you can pick a battleground that you want to fight in. Let's go ahead and just fight in the open plains. And then similar to other battle simulators, you have your troops here that you can command, they have theirs, and you can just actually utilize your units here. So this is my unit. I can set them up in a different way if I would like to, if that makes sense. I'm not going to, that seems like a horrible idea. Whether you want them to run or get closer in their ranks or what have you, you can make that happen. Let's go let them. And then the battle simulations you can also check out. So they want to fight. Let's see who makes they make the first move. All of our people are going to go in there. We're going to lose a whole bunch of people, but you can just see how complex this game can get. It gets a little tight. I will say from the military standpoint here, I find these to be the least satisfying. Are you guys firing stuff? Our morale's still pretty high. Enemies are doing pretty good, it seems like. Can't be sure who's fully winning, but I will say this, the enemy is definitely the aggressor right now. We even have some enemy units just hanging out, and we are starting to get flanked at the top here. So we could make some adjustments. For example, we could back up. Oh, and we are getting flanked from the side here. So we're going to go ahead and take them out here in this direction. Considering moving these guys, we are starting to get a route over on this area, but I worry that these guys are going to be a problem. So let's go ahead and back these guys up. Let's go ahead and grab these guys and attack from this flank. Try to flank them that way. How are we doing on other fronts? Yeah, so it looks like we're kind of being overrun in areas. If you're a better military commander than I am, that could be the move. Just look at the level of detail, though. You got bodies, you got just insane simulations. I think if you're not interested in the military aspects of city builders, this probably isn't going to be like any better for you. There's very limited things you can do currently. Like you can tighten your formations, you can break your formations and chase enemy soldiers. You can be more defensive, you can be more on the run. If you have enemy archers, for example, you can do things with that as well. The yellow dots are people that are running away. So you can test out, this is a huge scale battle, these were thousands of people, but you can test out smaller scale battles too. It doesn't need to be that intense. I'm starting to get flanked from the side, so we'll see how that goes. We could, oh, never mind. They're bailing. It looks like we're able to stand our ground. So let's go for it. Go and attack these guys and just end that. And how about we go and get to the backside here, and then we'll attack this end. And there we go. That's victory. We killed 7,000 people. We lost 1,000 of our own, and we could restart and try something different if we didn't like that. But you can test out your battle tactics without even building up your army just to see what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. You can make so many different variations of cities. If you decide that you want to make just a farming settlement, you can do that too. There's just so much you can do with this game that I think is really unique and fun, and there's just endless possibilities, in my opinion, of what you can turn your civilization into. And you can do it at a clip that is super quickly, super fast. You can do it min-maxing, of course, but at the end of the day, you can make the city how you'd like to make it and deal with the consequences of those choices, which I think is the really fun part about city builders in the first place. You make a choice, you see how it affects, it's either positive or it's negative, and if you make too many wrong decisions, your city can be destroyed. There's so many levels of the tech tree that you can make to streamline your innovation and your output and production. You can add nobility to make your production even better. You can conquest the world if you would like. Whatever feels fun and exciting to you is at your disposal. So I would say this. After 50 hours of playing this game, I think this is one of the most fun and interesting city builders out there. I think it's just got so much heart. It's got so much to love. And I definitely think another 50 hours is going to be easy. I actually don't even think it'll be difficult at all to play this game for another 50. And I definitely will. So if that's something you're interested in watching and seeing how we build out our next megalopolis, hopefully something better than the one we did before, stick around because I love playing. I'd love to see it. If that's something you're interested in, I would love to have you. Anyway, that's it. My name's Laundry. I'll catch you later.